Blake's Buzz Live. Buzz, 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 buzz. It's Blake's Buzz Live. Buzz, 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 buzz. It's Blake's Buzz Live. More, hate less, read comics. It's Blake's Buzz Live.
Buzz, buzz, babies.
Hey, buzz, buzz, babies! It's Monday. Oh, fucking Mondays, right? No, this one hasn't been so bad. And good news is we're gonna end it strong because I got a cool guest with a really cool comic that we're gonna talk about tonight. But before that goes down, as I've been shouting out, and I'm gonna shout it out one more time. I am the social media manager for Metal Ninja Studios. We are an all-encompassing suite that helps creators make their comic book dreams come true. Basically, we have editors, writers, letters, designers. We worked on the Mary Shelley School for Monsters campaign, which is on its last day, pretty much doing very, very well. We did like logo design and lettering for them. Anyways, long story short, we are running a Trample Intracranial Hypertension charity campaign. We've got some cool merch you can buy. You can donate directly. We've got a really awesome charity hub that I just posted the link in the chat. Like, please go give it a look. It's very important to my boss, Joel Rodriguez. His wife suffers from this, and it's a bad disease. It's a buildup of spinal fluid, and it messes with your vision and like really bad headaches. It's very hard for doctors to treat. They need to do more research. They don't know a lot about it right now, and that's such a bummer for their patients because they can't get the treatment that they deserve, basically. And so that's what we're doing. We're trying to raise money for the Intracranial Hypertension Research Foundation. If you buy merch, proceeds go to there. We've got a link on the hub if you want to just donate to them directly. And also, like, if I know times are tough for some people, and honestly, like, sharing that site, if you go to the hub and scroll to the bottom, you can share it on whatever social media platform you use. So I mean, honestly, like, sharing helps immensely. We're putting our faith in this amazing comic book community. I've seen this community come together and do really great things, and we're really hoping we can make that happen for IH. And so basically, yeah, check the link out, give it a look, see, and yeah, if you don't have the money, I totally get it. I've been there, and but a share helps immensely. And thank you all for always listening to these little announcements before I get to the big announcement, which is our guest tonight, who has a new book coming out this week from Ahoy Comics. Blacksmith is returning. I'm so excited. He has written Atlantis Wasn't Built for Tourists. He's written Ninja Gaiden. He's written the recent Talks that everybody's loving that's coming back to Kickstarter. We'll talk about that soon. But Mr. Eric Palicki is in the house. Eric, what's up, dude? How you doing, bud?
I'm doing great, Blake. Thanks for having me. I was just logging in to back Mary Shelley School for Monsters.
Oh, nice.
Like the last minute, right?
We're so close to 10K. Like, oh, I'm so excited. Like, I think the book sells itself. Like, the art's gorgeous and stuff, but to be a part of that campaign and like help with the advertisement and the promo and stuff, and working with Jessica is just a blast. Like, she's just awesome. And she's also a big crowdfunder champion. Like, she backs a ton of campaigns and always helps out when she can. So, like, very cool to see the community rally together on this. And it's a really cool book. Like, it's fast paced and real gorgeous, and very similar but less adult than some of your works we'll be talking about. But I mean, that's very much like the kind of vibe I've been getting from you lately, man. Is you got these like hyper paced, just quick action oriented narratives. Even when you kind of dip into different genres, like, you always kind of give a really good action adventure feel is very much usually present in your narratives, and it never gets old. You always like put a new spin on it or throw it into a different genre with different kinds of monsters. And I guess just to kind of start off from there, like, how everybody needs a brand, right? And writers need a voice, but what, like, are you a big like action movie guy, or like what? Because it's always present in your narratives in new ways, and they always work. And it's just like, you just put your characters through the ringer and send them on these crazy like breakneck adventures, right? And it works every damn time. And so, like, what, how do you balance that and script this out and kind of lay out these stories where you ingeniously give your characters enough time to shine so that we care about them, and then simultaneously have these huge, action set pieces where, the panels just fly and we can't turn these pages fast enough. And, it seems tricky, but you make it look effortless, at least.
I'm glad I've got everyone bamboozled. I appreciate the kind words, Blake. Look, I think for me, character is everything, and you see character is shown and developed through action. And just because something is an action movie, just because something is all about, seems on the surface to be all about explosions and cool martial art sequences, doesn't mean you can't find moments to build character and drive the story forward using character rather than just violence. John Wick is an excellent character study on top of just being, balls to the wall action movie.
Yeah.
The Raid Redemption is another one, right? It's about a guy who is put upon trying to save his brother. Die Hard is a fantastic character study. I was reading an article recently where they were interviewing the screenwriter, and he talked about how Hans Gruber had to kill Mr. Takagi in the movie because otherwise the audience was going to root for Hans Gruber. Like, you don't actually have any reason other than the fact that he commits this murder early in the movie. Otherwise, the whole audience would not be behind McClane. They'd be behind this other guy.
Yeah.
So there's definitely awesome opportunities to develop character, even in action sequences. And, I don't know up until the last couple of years that I would have really thought of myself as such an action oriented writer, but comics are a visual medium, and there's a struggle, and you don't want to bore your artist. You don't want to bore your collaborators in general. You don't want to bore the readers by having a bunch of talking heads sitting around a table for 20 pages. You have to have them out doing something. So action is just part and parcel with the medium, I think.
Well, you're not boring your audience. At least I've never been bored reading one of your books, and I'm I've a lot of people that follow me and like what I read and listen to my recommendations, and we all kind of vibe on the same stuff. And I feel like you're far from boring, sir. Both as a person and as a writer, and you've gotten some really good collaborators and stuff, these last few months, with talks and working with Evan and a lot of the cool stuff you're doing with him. And you're also editing some of his other projects that he's doing over at Wolven Press and just with Black Box and Ninja Kaiden and this weird horror samurai story that again was very, very fast paced and beautiful and very fluid, and almost your stuff almost reminds me at times of manga, just in its cinematic movement and how just everything just moves so fast. And a lot of times when I read your stuff, you get me really hooked on the story, and I have to remind myself to calm down and appreciate the art, because like I said, you've combined with some really great artists, especially with Blacksmith's return, the new the key to his heart, this new issue. It comes out on Wednesday. Everybody, you got to get it if you haven't read the previous one. I feel like you could start fresh with this, but you can also go get that volume 1. It's readily available. 5 awesome issues, packed cover to cover with greatness that's just ready for you right now. You could get that. You could run out to a store right now and get it, or order it somewhere, and get that ready for this week, so you can snag that when you're out comic shopping on Wednesday. But it's been a minute since you've kind of left off on Arc 1, and these characters have been kind of sitting around for a while, and we've all missed them, and you've started it off, and it feels like not missing a beat at all. And you and your art team on this, a lot of cool stuff with shadows and reflections in this first issue, I noticed. And I don't know, I mean, I know some of it was in volume 1, but just the wolf, the way people's shadows show who they really are. I really like that. I like that idea. I like that notion. And I love how you guys are making it appear on the page. Was that was that artist writer collaboration, or was that something like you wanted specifically that your art team nailed, or like how'd that come about?
So yeah, let me start. Let me back up a minute to something you said earlier. It was very, very, very important to me that this new miniseries was accessible to readers that haven't read the first volume
Nice.
of Blacksmith. That was definitely something that was very important to me as I started the series and started this new series. And the second thing that I also did is, and I know you've read the first issue now, is I made the first issue as I did with the first volume. It's more or less a done-in-one adventure. It's going to give you, if you're a new reader, it's going to give you everything you need to know about these characters, what they do, who they are. If you're a returning reader, it's going to be a nice sort of refresher on where we left the characters, because it's very different than the start of the first series. What's the status quo now? And then it introduces a lot of the story threads that we will be following through the whole series. But if you pick up the first issue, you don't like it, I didn't do my job. I'm sorry, but I still want to give you that whole chunk of entertainment for your dollars. I don't want to give you part of a story. So that first issue, I hope that it's satisfying whether you want to continue the series or not. And I really hope you do. But to kind of go back to what you were saying, the first issue, when I wrote it and pitched it, and when Wendell started drawing the book, Wendell Cavalcanti is my artistic partner on this book. We thought it was going to be in color, and it was a decision made probably 3 or 4 issues into production when Ahoy said, "Hey, we're going to try this as a black and white book." And I thought, well, okay, does that mean you don't believe in it and you're just trying to hasten the book out the door so you can move on? And they said, "No, you've got this backwards. You're absolutely wrong. We believe in this book and this story enough that we believe it can succeed as a black and white book," which, tickled, that tickled me. And they further reminded me that the best-selling indie comic of the last 30 years, black and white book with horror undertones that doesn't have any superheroes in it. So I'm in good company. But with the second volume, knowing that we were going to be black and white allowed Wendell and me to kind of, like you said, play with a few little artistic tropes. Wendell's able to do a little bit more with light and shadow, knowing that this is going to be a black and white book, and he's not just drawing for an artist, or for a colorist rather. And yeah, I love those moments. I love being able to experiment with, this is the main character for people who haven't picked up the first book. The main character of Blacksmith is a private investigator who happens to be a werewolf, and she lives in an LA that is populated by the same normal, or if you've been to LA, finger quotes, normal people that you would encounter in Los Angeles, but also secretly it's populated with a community of supernatural entities from all over the world in terms of the folklore and mythology and supernatural tropes that you're used to. Her partner is half jinn. She works for a big game hunter that specializes in killing mythical beasts. So you see all of this in the story, and it ramps up. We were able to fold in some Lovecraftian horror in the first one, etc. And being able to show that Strummer is a werewolf without actually having her turn into a werewolf in the first issue, I thought we did a really great job with that.
Yes.
The first issue of this new series.
Yeah, I agree. I really loved it. And then the way we see that through Shadow, when we meet this new character who's going to be Strummer's apprentice. I don't want to spoil too much. I'm always worried about that when you guys let me read issues early. I'm like, I'm going to say something that I'm not supposed to, but no, I don't want to spoil anything. But there's a new character. She's going to be brought on as an apprentice, and it's a very cool way. I like how these characters are kind of you think that they're like taking her in under their wing, right? That they're like doing them a favor, and then you find out that there's other gears cranking in Strummer's mind, right? And then so like it's not all as like one big happy family kind of notion that there's playing out. There's a lot of layers that are ready to be peeled back, and some new characters and a new love interest. And one of my favorite things about the first arc was just how, like you said, how you explored this like underbelly of LA, this monstrous like LA, hidden parts of the city, hidden creatures like hiding in hiding in the daylight and masking themselves as normative. And when we get to see like more of that world and explore it, really made the first arc something special. And I'm really excited to get more of that, and also just more, like you said, like a comic book without great characterization is just, it's not going to be that great of a comic, right? And so like we already know there's going to be some crazy magic monster crazy shenanigans, right? And we already see these characters in different places and like new roommates and things like that, right?
Sure.
And so there's a lot of moving parts that can definitely work against each other and build some of that dramatic tension that we all know and love. And so this, just in this first issue, like you've set up a lot of really smart stuff and in a non-burdensome way, like the issue didn't feel rushed or anything. It just felt like a strong number one, and gave us a lot of things to be excited for next month, reasons to put this on pull lists. And again, I just really congratulate like the way you structure and plot out your stories. It's just, you're a damn good writer, man. And I know it's not just you, right? I know you have a team and you guys work together, but you are the one making the scripts, right? And so a lot of the pacing and the revelations that we get and plot beats and stuff, like you are the decider of those things, and then your artist comes in. And we've talked before, like I know you like your artists to feel like they have room to play and get weird, with it and stuff too. But yeah, I mean, I love that Ahoy is behind this. I love that you got the second arc, like, and I hope if as long as you want to, right? Like I hope you can keep it going, because I think it's cool, man. We're seeing more noir stuff out on the market, and it feels like everybody's got to compete with Ed and Sean, right? That's like anytime you write something noir, it's like, well, like if you like Ed Brubaker and Sean Phillips, well, like, yeah, no shit, but like maybe don't compare us to them, like I appreciate it, but that's like a lot of pressure. That's how I would feel if someone did that. But to have this spookiness, spooky fantasy rich noir narrative that's doing a lot of things different than Ed and Sean are these days, right? Like it doesn't feel like Reckless. It doesn't feel like their new Night Fever, which Night Fever was kind of weird for them, like a kind of off their beaten path as of late. And so I feel like you're like tiptoeing into the noir genre, like just doing your own thing. And I think that's one of the reasons why this book is so damn good, is just because like you're not beholden to the noir greats that came before you. Like, yeah, there's some nods and appreciations, and we can all learn from the people that walked the ground before us, right? But it just very much feels like you and your team, and I think Ahoy is kind of like an Ahoy Comics vibe too, but they're just like, we do what we want and we hope the books sell. That's the point of it, right? But like, we don't write books to sell. We write books that we think are going to be good, and we publish books that we want to buy. And that's kind of the vibe I get from Ahoy. And that's definitely the vibe I'm getting from you and previous issues of Blacksmith and this new number one. Like it's exciting. I really hope people listening or watching this later, like, really give it a shot. And for real, if you haven't read volume 1, I again can't recommend it enough. You need to go buy that too. But this is a safe pickup. This is a new number one you can enjoy and dip your toes in these weird waters, and hopefully you walk away saying, ooh, I'm gonna need to get that volume 1, and I'm definitely gonna have to put Keys to His Heart on my pull list. That's the goal, right? We gotta sell these comics, so you guys keep making them. Like, it's gonna it would break my heart if Eric, like, what if Eric went and joined a writer's room somewhere? Well, I don't know, why would you do that right now, but like maybe later when things are calming down, like, like I see that discourse sometimes. I see, I mean, especially lately with like the comics broke me thing, and there's, a lot of people like questioning career moves and like, why am I here? And is it worth it? Is the stress worth it? And, it would break my heart if you ever went there. Cause I do think you're bringing some heat lately, and I'm not like, I'm a fan of your older stuff too, but you've just, in the last year, you've had a lot of great titles come out that, that people were whispering about and talking about and snagging up and standing out against the waves of competition on the shelves, right? Like, I mean, you're predominantly in the direct market, and there's a lot of competition there, and how to, like, get you to buy this comic when there's so many comics out every Wednesday, right? Like, do you think about that when you're writing, or when you're pitching ideas or coming up with stuff, or do you kind of like to stay in that zone where you're like, I'm going to make comic books like I want, and they're probably going to sell because I know what cool comic books are. But I mean, marketing is so ingrained into this, into this field these days. Like, I always wonder if if marketability ever like makes you redraft something or change a scene, or, like, if you're like, well, will the audience get that? Will this sell well? Will it make them want to buy the second issue? Or, I mean, does that stuff weigh you down, or do you just kind of let go of that?
I have to let go of it ultimately. There's and yeah, you kind of brought it up in so many words, this sort of cliched piece of advice that writers hear all the time about, and I'm sure artists in general, is, make the thing you want to read, make the film you want to see, sculpt the sculpture that you would want to see in our museum. Yeah. And that's great, but there's always that fear, like, okay, I did a werewolf private detective noir with Ahoy Comics comedic elements and a kitchen sink approach to the mythology. Am I the only one literally who wants to read this story? And I'm really excited. The medium and the industry being what it is right now, it is an extreme privilege to get to tell a 5-issue story, never mind to be invited back to continue the story on for another 5 issues.
Definitely, yeah.
And so that's been a phenomenal experience, and I know that how lucky I am to get that. But it's a sign that whatever I'm doing, there's somebody out there with whom it resonates. You don't get a second miniseries greenlit if your first one shit the bed. So like, here we are. Here we are. I did something right. Do I know what that is? Do I know what the secret sauce, the secret sauce is? No, but I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing and hoping to find out, and hoping to find out what that is eventually.
Yeah.
And for every pitch or book that comes out and is successful, I've got 5 other pitches that didn't quite make the mark.
Yeah.
And they may find themselves out in the world someday. And I'm very privileged that I get to work with, Wendell has, this is now our 3rd book together, and never mind all of those mini comics and short stories and pitches that no one is ever going to see. But, he was my collaborator on Atlantis Wasn't Built for Tourists and The First Blacksmith, and now we're working together again on this. I hope that, Sean and Ed have 15 years on us in terms of their longevity, and their presence in the medium. But, I would love it if 15 years from now, people are talking about the latest Palicki Cavalcanti joint the way they talk about the latest Brubaker Phillips joint.
Yeah.
So, I'll keep making comics with Wendell as long as he's game.
I hope so, because like I do think it's cool that you guys are vibing and continue to work. I mean, three miniseries in comics is many years of work. I don't think a lot of people realize how slow comics move a lot of times, right? And just how tricky things are. I mean, so for you guys to have that three mini series is, you guys have worked together for a long time now. You know each other very well. You obviously like working with each other, or maybe you just hate each other enough that you just make really, really great comics. I've been ignoring the chat. I'm so sorry, everybody. I told Cole, my co-host, to calm down. He said he would not calm down because he was leaving comments before the freaking show started. David is on. What's up, baby? Thanks for always tuning in. We love you. Ronan from Australia. Good morning, sir. It's already tomorrow. That's so weird. And then Cole says he loves when people talk about how pitches didn't land and now it's real and the book is amazing. It's cool. Like it is cool because that's one of the bummers about doing what I do. I hear a lot of stuff that I'm not allowed to talk about. And I'm not just talking about like getting to read a comic book issue early, right? I hear about a lot of drama. I hear about a lot of shady practices, and that's not my platform. Like I'll stand up for people when I need to, but my platform is not one of rumor and dirty secrets. And, that's not the attention I want, but it's crazy to start knowing these things and to just kind of realize that, like, yeah, comic books is a fucking tough industry, and it takes a lot to stay in it and to keep trying, and it takes a lot to succeed. And so, yeah, when you're start seeing these, miniseries after miniseries in the direct market, or even now with talks, like when you guys go to Kickstarter and then it gets picked up right away, and it next month is the talks debut for the direct market release, right? And so, I mean, that's exciting, man, because you're not afraid of Kickstarter. You're not afraid to get your hands dirty and get weird with the crowdfunding people. You've been there a lot, and some of your projects have been picked up afterwards, right?
Sure.
But it's also it's usually nice when a publisher has your back too, right? Like to have that, to lessen some of that stuff, so you don't have to worry about distribution. If there's delays or a diamond truck sets on fire or something, right? Like things happen in the last couple months. Like, it's a bummer, and that's something that, yes, you have to deal with, but like, it's not like when you're doing like Manticore, right? Or your the other Kickstarter campaign you did for your first OGN that you re-released.
Oh, Orphans, yeah.
Yeah. Like you're not having to like deal with the printers necessarily, and that's more of like a publisher deal, and it's a little bit less responsibility for you guys to kind of relinquish, right? And focus on other elements to the publishing rat race that you guys all deal with. And I've seen like people like Charlie Stickney coming out right now when we when we see stuff. Thanks, Cole. Cole just sidetracked. Dirty secrets, or I unsub. All right, well, that's fine. If I lose my co-host, that's fine. I won't lose him as a co-host. I'll just lose him as a subscriber. We'll talk about that next Tuesday when Blake and Cole read a book returns. But no, like Charlie Stickney has come out lately with a lot of this weird publisher news, and he's a continuous reminder, like, if you don't want to deal with publishers, you don't have to. There's a way around that. Is that way for everybody? No. But now there's even crowdfunding platforms like Zoop, like Zoop very much like takes a lot of the responsibility away from the creator, and sets like, gives them like printing packages, and we can do this for this much or this for that much, and do the fulfillment. And so like Zoop does a lot of that, a lot of those things that make people nervous to do Kickstarter. Like Zoop will take over that. Unfortunately, Zoop doesn't have the client database and algorithmic appeal that Kickstarter does, right? And so many of you guys that have been on Kickstarter for a while, you get these like massive mailing lists, and that helps to promote your books and new books, and keep your fans and in the know and stuff. And so I know you're not opposed to that, but like what are your thoughts on that right now? Obviously you're at a good place with Ahoy, right? I'm not trying to say like, take your shit out, like leave, like abandon shit, but as someone who's done, because Atlantis wasn't built for tourists, was initially a crowd-funded comic too. That's before Scout did it, right? So like, what are your thoughts on that? Like, or are you like, is it like I'll do it if I have to, or I still do it sometimes because I want to, or like, what do you think about crowdfunding?
I love crowdfunding. It's been fantastic, and I saw David Hazan pop in in the comments, and he and Christoph Bojaks have
Yeah.
a great Kickstarter running right now.
Yeah, Requiem is really cool.
Yeah, I'm really excited about that. I love their work and excited for that. I love crowdfunding. And I definitely haven't been having ongoing conversations with Jordan over at Zoop about anything that I can't talk about yet. So watch this space, I guess. But it's a phenomenal way to democratize the medium and the industry, and I think that's important. What I like about Zoop is that it is taking a lot of the things that it's taking a lot of the things off my plate that I'm not any good at. I'm a writer. I write, depending on, according to Blake, I write good stories. So I'm going to just go ahead and stick with that.
I would. I mean, I am a class act reviewer too. Some people may only think of me as like a PR guy these days, or just a YouTube phenomenon, but I started out as a lowly comic book reviewer.
But everything from marketing myself in the book to making sure the trains are running on time, to stuffing envelopes and putting everything in the mail, those are all things where those are all shortcomings that I have as a person who's primarily a writer. And also those things take a lot of time away from my limited hours that I have to create more material. So when somebody something like Zoop comes along that will take more than just the funding off the table and will take care of some of that fulfillment, organizing with publishers and figuring out what the best deal is, that is a boon, and that sounds wonderful.
Nice.
And I know that the comics broke me hashtag was a lot. It was a lot the last couple of weekends. But I do want to take a moment, since we're talking about my book at Ahoy. I've worked with a number of publishers. I have really good stories to tell about most of them. I have some stories historically about partnerships with publishers that I wish that I hadn't entered into this deal. I wish that I had been a little less naive and read the contract. But I want to say that Ahoy Comics is the best publisher that I have ever worked for.
Nice.
And it's not even close.
Nice.
They're phenomenal. Everybody from the editorial Sarah Litt to editor-in-chief Tom Peyer. Tom Peyer even set aside his famous beef with John Layman because John Layman agreed to write the intro to the first Blacksmith trade, which is, of course, a huge and awesome honor to have. And anyone who follows the two of them on Twitter knows that they just don't get along. So it was just it was incredible to get that to happen. The CEO of the company, Hart Seeley, has been phenomenal. I've never had to wait more than a few days for checks to clear. I have gotten resounding positive reinforcement from the whole team there. Just want to just take that moment to celebrate how great Ahoy has been. And this is not at all me asking for a volume 3 at all. They can take it that way if they choose. But yeah, just love working with Ahoy, and I'll write anything they want forever.
Nice. Yeah, they're cool. They've always treated me well too. Like just like as a journalist. And Tom, I don't know if I told you this story, but I have told, like, when I first launched the blog, I was doing written interviews because the idea of a podcast and doing all this just was like, it didn't even cross my mind. Right. It was just, I was like, I write too. So I'm going to write reviews. And if we do I'll do written interviews and post them on this blog. And so I started doing a handful of interviews, and I was doing, it was called like the Blake's Buzz, like sandwich series. And the final question that I would ask people was like, what's the ultimate sandwich? Right. And then basically, like, the creator would tell me what the best sandwich was. I would name that sandwich something after the creator, and then I had like this sandwich board on the blog, right? That was like the creators, and so I had like 3 of these already, right? And I think I'm onto something, and I'm interviewing, I'm writing questions for Tom, and the final question to Tom was, what's your favorite sandwich? And he responds, and he was like, I fucking hate sandwiches. And you know why I hate sandwiches? It's because everybody has to fucking put mayo on them, and mayo's fucking disgusting. And then I was like, well, there goes that. I was like, you can't put that on a sandwich board. And so then, and basically that's why I started podcasting. No, but I was like, I was like, shit, Tom, throw me a bone, man. But it was also just really funny. And, like, at that point in my career, like, he was a really big name to even be dealing with me, right? So I wasn't going to be like, dude, can you just humor me, like, tell me like grilled cheese or something, like, but like, it was so funny, and I'll remember him forever now because of that. And now that I know him a little bit better, and not that I like know him, but like know what he's like, you've seen him around the internets and stuff, and I'm like, okay, that checks out, right? And he wasn't just, he wasn't like coming at me. He just hates mayo, and fair enough. Like, I get, mayo's not for everyone. We did have a question in the chat. Tox is coming out from Blood Moon Comics, July 15th, 6th,
19th,
19th. Yeah, that's it. It's the 19th. Yeah. So yeah, it's that will be in shops next month, and your FOC is passed, but sometimes you can get lucky and still order them. So I mean, like, it never hurts to ask your shop to try. But to be fair, Evan and I and Eric were pushing pretty hard for that FOC date, and we let all you people know like a week in advance. Like, we're like, running out of time. Today's the last day. But no, even if, like, FOC is an important deal, but if you missed it, reach out to your shop, ask, see if they can still snag it. Sometimes it's a possibility. I'm not sure how many issues Blood Moon ordered or anything, but it's I do know everybody's been really happy with the Kickstarter. They've started, I've seen pictures pop up of people getting 1 and 2 from the Kickstarter campaign. People are loving it. We've seen some good reviews come out for Tox. So yeah, another win for Eric. Just like,
so issue 1 of Tox, I'm pretty sure I have this right. Issue 1 of Tox and issue 2 of Blacksmith, The Key to His Heart, come out the same day.
Oh,
and that
wow.
is the first time in my career that I will have 2 books out on the same week. And that's pretty cool to me.
That's yeah, that shit is crazy to me. Cause like when I see like big names like Tom King, or like the other day, Tim Seeley had like 3 or 4 books out, and it was like, he had like a graphic novel from TKO, and then Empty Man, and then maybe the new sex book from Vault, Money Shot. I think like all of these like hit the shops at the same day, and it's like, man, that is crazy. But I hear, like, once you get into that position where if you're a bigger name in comics, and like that's your primary income now, like, I heard that's like it's like a normal thing. These guys are working on like 8 books at a time all the time.
Oh, sure.
A lot of things we haven't even heard about yet, haven't even been announced yet, that are greenlit, right? And they're being scripted and art's being worked on, but it's just like the public has no idea about them yet. And so, a sign of the hustle, right? But even in the indie scene, like, to have 2 books drop like the same day in the direct market, in a comic book shop, you can walk into a shop and see 2 brand new Eric Palicki books on shelves, and then maybe even find a couple trades, on the other shelves. Like, man, that's got to be cool, just to like walk into a shop and see your new stuff there. Like, does that ever get? I mean, I know it doesn't get old, but like, does that kind of like lose its glamour, or like
never?
Nice.
No. And I'm a relatively new, actually, before I miss it, because you brought up Tim contributed the variant cover to issue 1
that's
of
right.
Blacksmith, The Key to His Heart. So wanted to just take a moment to point that out. It's amazing. I'm trying to get him to sell me the original art from that cover. We'll see if it happens. so I can add it to my
Do it, Tim.
my burgeoning wall of original art. I have this rule because otherwise I'd go bankrupt. That I can only buy original art if it's in some way relates to something that I've written or done. So I have, I only have a half dozen Funko Pops, but they're all Gamoras and Kitty Prydes,
Nice.
things like that. But no, to answer your question from way back, it never loses its glamour. I always check out of the corner of my eye, because the indie scene is such that I understand the economics of this medium in this industry, and I know that shops can't stock everything that comes out in a given week. But I do always kind of check to see if whatever store I walk into when I'm traveling has the Atlantis Wasn't Built for Tourists trade or the blacksmith trade on their wall. I'm not judging.
Do you ever pull them off and sign them if you see them?
I have on occasion, but usually I will do that respectfully. I will ask
first,
the retailer if it's okay. But no, like I try to get to a shop when I have a new #1, especially. I try to get to a shop on that Wednesday and I'll buy a copy of my own book because I want the store to know that they're supported.
Do you tell them when you're buying it?
Sometimes I don't.
I would. I made a joke that one time when someone, I can't remember who it was, but they were really excited about I think it was a Kickstarter book that got picked up and then re-released in shops. And I told them that they mentioned that they were just kind of standing there, stood there for a while and were seeing it, like if anybody went and picked it up. And I was like, oh no. I was like, I would be like at the shelf standing there. Well, I would be like,
this is mine.
I wrote
this.
I wrote this. My name's Blake Morgan. But I again, that's some people don't, that makes some people wildly uncomfortable to think about doing stuff like that. Right. You doing anything this week? Any cool signings for Wednesday or over the weekend or anything?
No, I was, no, I did a terrible job of planning this out. I will probably make some cameo appearances at local shops on Wednesday.
Nice.
Just like you said, to kind of see if anyone picks up the book and hand sell it if need be.
Yell at them if they don't. Hey, I think you missed one. Well, no, I just think that's really cool, and I'm just happy for you, man. Because I remember when we talked. I think we talked right around when Blacksmith was wrapping up, like in between the final issue and the trade. I think was when you came on the first time, maybe.
I think because it was also, was that the first time or was I on the timing would work out. Maybe I was also on to talk up Manticore.
Yeah, that sounds right. Yeah, because that was the night I just got this brand new microphone and I had the wrong mic selected, so I sounded like I was in a public bathroom the whole show, and I didn't know till I listened to it later, and I was like, damn it. But yeah, I remember I remember kind of asking, and you were, I was like, is this going to keep going? And you were like, well, I want it to, but that's about all I can say right now. And I was like, and then after the show, you told me you were like, we're talking about it, but it's not official. And I was like, okay, cool. And so how long did it take between as the first Arcs issues were coming out before you found out from Ahoy that they wanted you to keep going? Is it like a long, arduous wait, or do you find out fairly quickly?
It was after everyone. I'm not sure now, as I recall, I'm not sure if the 5th issue was out and available yet.
Okay.
But I do know that Wendell and I had completely wrapped up work on the first miniseries before they came to us and said we would like to do more. And I've answered this question in a couple of other interviews this week. So I'll share it with the best audience that I will have all week, the Blake's Buzz audience. I definitely wrote the first volume I wrote the first volume in such a way that I could continue, and you've read a lot of my stuff, so you know that my books tend to end with with a fairly open ending,
Mhm.
you know. But I think that as far as of all the graphic novels I've done, Blacksmith, the first volume, is the one that wraps up the cleanest. And it's because I cared so much about these characters that I wanted to give them an ending in case I never got to come back to it.
Okay.
So it's somewhat, I note with a little bit of irony that the one book that I wrote with an ending in mind is the one that I'm doing a sequel to. And now of course, now that I've started and come back to this world, you know, it was like slipping into a warm bath. It was, you know, everything was perfect and comfortable, and I'm loving it. And I absolutely didn't do that with the second volume. I'm back to my old bad habits. I've elsewhere I have likened this to Strummer's Empire Strikes Back. Right? It is a middle chapter in a larger story, and it is not necessarily going to be one that leaves the characters in their best, happiest state. So hopefully we do well enough that we can come back and we can give Strummer the send off that she deserves, along with Ben and the rest of the cast.
Nice. Yeah. I definitely feel like the stakes feel a little higher, right? Because as I mentioned, you know, Strummer has a new love interest and a new, or not a new, we've met the love, but they're at a new place than we saw them previously. Right. And things are being said and emotions are running high in a good way. A good way for some and uncomfortable for others, but they're going to figure out how to deal with that as these books go on. Right. But you know, like, there's just a lot of there was a lot of emotion and a lot of good like friend and lover moments in this first issue, where when we talk about bringing on this new character and the chaos that may provide and the tent that, you know, like I mentioned earlier, the dramatic tension that will flow out from these new plot points, like, you know, a lot more can go wrong, not on like your end, but there's more people to care about, and people are in a little, you know, people are being a little bit of you know, people are a little more vulnerable than they were in the first arc, and things are going well, right? And this is, as someone who I believe this a lot, and because it terrifies me, you know, like, it freaks me out when a lot of good things start happening, because it's like, uh-oh, like, you know, like this can only last so long, right? So like eventually, you know, you may not shit the bed, life's gonna shit it for you, you know. And so I feel like that there's an element there within this new arc where it's gonna change, it's gonna change how Strummer you know, does her job. And I don't think she's gonna do it more, I don't think she's gonna do like a shitty job, but you know, when you've got things to lose, those rash decisions sometimes aren't as easy to make, right? And I'm really excited to see you play with that new element of her character. Again, like I've said this on a lot of your stuff, like regardless of the genre, regardless of whatever kind of like weird tapestry you've organized to like toss your characters in, like you always give great characters, right? And they love and they feel and they emote and they change and they evolve. You do really well at that. And it's just always, it's always exciting. Sometimes even a little scary, right? Because it's real easy to get attached to your characters because of these things. Because like, oh, like, yeah, I'm not a private investigator. I'm definitely not a werewolf, but like, you know, I feel and I've been scared to lose things, right? And I'm you know, and as adaptable as I like to think I am, change frightens me. You know, I'm not opposed to it, but like, you know, there's that. When you have to reorient yourself whenever you get comfortable, you know, it's a weird deal. And I like how you make your characters do that. And when you do that, that gets me into your characters a lot more, right? Because I can see myself in them. I can see my own vulnerabilities. I can see my own weirdnesses and quirks. Like, and that's because you're a smart writer, right? You do this to like orient your audience and get your audience involved and attached. Because, you know, if we don't give a shit about these characters, we're not going to give a shit about the story. And no matter how beautiful it is, no matter how great the action looks and how great the monsters look, right? You got to anchor us into some kind of emotional aspect, right? That's, you know, genre fiction, like that's how it succeeds. And again, these are just I can kiss your ass all day, but like these are just things that you do really well. And your art team, like Wendell does a good job of it too, right? Like when characters are confused, you really see it. When the breakfast scene, when they come home and there's the foods everywhere, and just like the look on her face, she's like, I thought I was gonna have to eat all this. Like, it's very funny, but it's so funny because like the their expression seems so real, like on the page, right? And I love that it's in black and white. Like again, like very very much like catering to the you know, noir styles of old, right? Also like coming back to like Werewolf by Night, how successful that was, and how awesome it was that Marvel did that. And you know, and that was that black and white little short cinematic nugget that they dropped last year, you know, was so wonderful. And you know, I appreciate the black and white art a lot more than I used to. Getting into manga helped me with that too. But you know, because I used to, you know, I would read stuff, but there was sometimes some disappointment, even when like even in some Kickstarters, I'd be like, man, I wish this was colored. But I'm really starting to see, you know, like when you really get to like appreciate an artist's line work, and when you don't have color and kind of can experiment with like heavier inks and the tension that heavy inks just the ink provides, right? Like I've evolved and learned to like nerd out on all these new elements. And again, like folks, this comic has all, like, it's absolutely beautiful. Like what they do with shadows and the environment and the way characters look and move around and talk. And there's a lot going on. And for you color fiends out there, they got one of the best cover artists in the game with one of the best color palettes out there. Liana Kangas is doing the covers again. And so another great sign of success, I feel like, is when you can drop a Liana cover, right? And she's doing all your cover A's, which is just awesome. I remember you telling me how lucky you felt to get her initially because of how busy she is. Just like so much commission work, so much indie comics work. She does a lot of Kickstarter variants and stuff now. Requiem, as we mentioned, has a Liana Kangas variant. Like, so, you know, she's just working all the time. And so to get her to do not one cover, but 5 cover A's, right? That's like, you got to be in a good spot. And you managed to nail it. All those covers were absolutely gorgeous. And here we are again, Liana Kangas, main cover variant on the second arc of Blacksmith. Like, I mean, these are just little breadcrumbs of success, I feel like, are being, you know, left as you traverse the indie comics woods on your weird venture, Eric. But
Yeah,
it's a good sign.
I am so privileged to call Liana a friend outside of comics. You know, she was a buddy long before this book
Nice.
existed. And you know, it was ultimately, as much as I love Liana, it was our editor Sarah Litt's idea to bring her in for this book specifically, and it works out so well. All of her covers have this like 50s pulp paperback novel cover design sensibility, but then filtered through Liana's very unique neon color palette, and it just works. And I love them. I have an original Liana piece. I think it's going to get reprinted in the back matter for the second trade. But it's one of my favorite things to look at as I'm writing this book. You're very perceptive about the themes of this book, or what I was like. I like that this suggests that I was successful in what I did. You know, the first volume is very much about Strummer, who is this citizen of 2 different worlds, the werewolf side and the supernatural side, and then, you know, just the mundane human side of her existence. And she feels like she doesn't belong in either one. And the first volume is all about Strummer learning to feel comfortable in her own skin. And, you know, that's where I tried to leave her at the end of the first volume, thinking that's where we were going to leave the story. And so as we start the second volume, it's really all about her trying to lead others and shepherd others along on that same path.
Hmm.
Beginning with Claire, the new intern that she brings in, that you'll meet in the first issue of The Key to His Heart. And because this is noir, and as I said earlier, like, happy endings are not exactly a hallmark of noir fiction. This is all going to blow up in her face, and I hope everyone who's listening enjoys that roller coaster we're about to take Strummer and Ben and all of the other returning characters on, because it's going to be quite a bumpy ride.
Which Ben definitely tells her to. Like, he makes he makes a joke about it. He's like, oh yeah, this is a great idea. I'm sure it won't blow up in her face at all. And I was like, I've never seen foreshadowing so blatant and been so excited. No, but yeah, it's great. And of course there has to be drama, right? And I trust you as a writer enough to, like, after reading this first issue, you're going to get an idea where that drama is going to spin from. But I also have a feeling that there's going to be some weird spins and lots of twists and turns that we don't see coming. Lots of obstacles that you put in our way as an audience that both the protagonists and we have to maneuver around to get from point A to point B. So, like, even though you've, like, laid out a map to the dramatics in a sense, like, I feel like that's almost a misdirection. Like, I don't mean this to be offensive. I kind of don't fucking trust you. It just, it feels like, I'm like, it feels like you're holding my hand a little too steadily and saying, like, come with me, Blake, I'll take you where you need to be. And then I blink and you leave me in a darkened field with monsters and you're just gone, running away laughing or something. Like, I feel like there's, that with even though you gave us, like, a clear outline of things to come and of things that we're going to have to worry about. Yeah. Like, I know there's going to be more than that. And I'm beyond, I'm very, very excited for that unknown and nervous. Cause, like, I've grown to really enjoy these characters and I love watching them work together. And I like seeing them happy, but, like, as you said, this isn't the genre where happiness tends to happiness is fleeting, right? John Westhoff is here. Thanks for tuning in. Promiscuous Time Traveler, thanks for tuning in, bud. I haven't talked to you in a minute. And then look at this guy, Mr. Full Tilt artist, coming in to talk about the not just the artist, Full Tilt creator, writer, and artist, coming in to talk about the power of black and white comics. If anybody should know, it's this man.
I have been waiting for 5 fucking years to give that guy my money, and I'm so excited I was finally able to do it this past month. You've paid me a lot of compliments in this past hour, Blake, which I appreciate. But I think that I don't fucking trust you is the best compliment that you've paid me that anyone has ever paid me as a writer. So thank you. I also want to say, like,
tell Ahoy to use that as the pull quote and not the, what was that one? It wasn't bad, but, like, they pull quoted me on their social medias and it was like new age, noir vibes or something. And I was like, okay, that's kind of cool. But, like, don't fucking trust Eric Palicki. I feel like that would ring a little hard.
I don't care. I love it so much. And I do want to say, like, I'm so excited for, like, being a fan of yours the whole time. I'm just so excited to see how you have grown as a podcaster and all of the, the side hustles that you've got with Metal Ninja and Invader Comics. And it's awesome to see where you are too.
Thank you. It's been crazy. I said it the other day when I woke, because there's been some stressful, like today was stressful, like Father's Day snuck up to us and and we had a kind of, our family dinner ended up being like a whole family day yesterday. And my sister and mom and dad and I, and my about to be brother-in-law, her fiance, we had a great day, but it just, like, I didn't really get to do anything like work stuff yesterday because I was hanging out with the family, and my whole family smokes a bunch of weed and I don't smoke as much anymore. And so when I try and hang, I get turned useless real quick. And then I had to cook. We made this big dinner. And anyways, long story short, I didn't do it. I woke up today and I was like, oh, I didn't announce that Eric Palicki was going to be on the show over the weekend. Should probably do that. I should probably, I have to write a press release, and then, I have to like do all my social media, and it's just like this morning, like snuck up to me real quick, but then like, it's a good stress though, right? It's cause it's still like, even if you wake up and you're kind of stressed and you think about it and you're like, I said it the other day. I was like, I can't believe I just get to wake up and hype comic books, like it's crazy. And I just got to experience that thing where I opened up a message and saw my 2-page short story for Cthulhu Invades Neverland come to life. And so my first comic book is a 2-page short that has Peter Pan in it, and the artist killed it, and like Peter Pan is in my comic book, right? Like,
That's
and
awesome.
I got to
man.
see that. Yeah, dude. But like, I've heard you guys talk about that so much, of like how cool it is to like wake up, especially when like so many artists are overseas and stuff now, right? And so like the time differences, and so like you'll wake up in the morning and have this email that came in at 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning or something, and you open it up and it's like a new splash panel or a couple new pages or character designs, and like everybody's told me how cool that is and how amazing it is to just like wake up and see that, and you're like, oh, I know this is going to be a good day. And yeah, like I got a message and I opened it up and I got to see these 2 pages I wrote. Like, they were real, right? They're not even colored, not even lettered yet, just inked and cool looking. And I was just like, dude, I cried. I fucking cried. I was like, I'm so turning into my father's son. Like, my dad used to be this crazy, witty, wild bartender, and I used to be this edgy, temperamental, drank a lot more than I do now, bouncer, and like I used to tell people, I used to get paid to tell people to fuck off right now, which is funny because now I'm like even more customer oriented and I have clients and stuff now, so it's like I'm customer service to the max these days. But like it's funny how things change, and I used to joke around about my dad because my dad cries a lot. He gets real emotional ever since he had his heart surgery. Like he had open heart surgery, and after that, like he gets very, very emotional about things. While still being an absolute old prick sometimes, which is funny. But anyway, I love him. But yeah, like I was like, man, I really am my father's son. Like, I'm not the big bad bouncer Blake anymore. I'm fucking squishy desk worker guy who cries when he sees Peter Pan art sent to his inbox, right? But no, it was gnarly, man. It was something really cool to see, and I'll never forget that moment probably for the rest of my life. And the only thing that sucked was I was like, instantaneously, I was like, I have to do this more. Right. I was like, I have to find a way to do this more. And write more and write for me and tell stories. And like, and then another thing that is disheartening, the more you get into this industry, is when you start learning like how much things really cost, and how much a lot of creators, writers particularly, like have to set aside to start paying artists like before a deal comes through, or even before a Kickstarter starts and stuff like that. And it does get very expensive, and I'm not there yet, but maybe one day, right? And I having a good standing in the community helps too. That deals are worked out. I know it's not like you don't have to be rich to make comics. It just helps. Like I've joked around with our friend Evan, and I was like, because I know he's got like a good software tech job, right? But it inspires me when he sends me. He's got a really great eye for art, right? And even if you got a great eye for art, once you really start, if you really start paying for stuff that you're like, yep, I have to have that, it gets expensive, because good artists know their worth most of the time, right? And so like he's commissioning these covers and working on these multiple projects, and he sends me like little snippets of stuff that I'm not allowed to talk about yet. And I'm like, dude, I was like, it's crazy. You're just paying. And he's got like a new kid and stuff, and he's just doing like a million things at once. It's cool. I'm really glad that you and him started working together, so that I got to like meet him kind of through knowing you and seeing your guys' new Kickstarter pop up, because, well, I mean, I kind of work, I work for him now too, but so I'm not just saying this because he pays me. He did pay me to say all these things during the show. No, I don't even think he knew you were on the show tonight. But you know, it's just I see what he's doing, you know, and I know that takes a toll on the pocketbook. And so that's one of the other sad mechanics of this industry that I don't think a lot of people understand is how long things take to come to life, how expensive they can be sometimes, and how even when the cards, you know, come out your way and things start well, like they sometimes don't end well. And it's kind of a bummer. And this industry's in a weird place because of that. Long story short, this is a good segue to talks 1 through 4 goes live. Well, we don't really know when it goes live yet, but the sign up page is live right now. I posted the link in the chat. You guys can check that out. Issues 1 and 2 are being fulfilled or have completed fulfillment or close to completed fulfillment. Issue 1 comes out next month. I think Evan said he's going to wait till the direct market debut of 1 to do the next Kickstarter. I think that's the plan. I could be wrong. But again, exciting because you're on there all 5. It's going to be 5 issues, 5 or 6,
5 issues. Yep.
Yeah, and you're there for the long haul, right?
Yeah, I am there, and you know, I hope that after that, I'm going to get to do some more work with Evan. You know, we've talked about some things. It's just a matter of finding a project that he's happy with, that I'm happy with, and we can move forward. He's got, you know, he's got more ideas than he's ever going to be able to write on his own.
Right.
So I appreciate that he, you know, came to me so we could talk through some ideas. And, you know, plus I've done some editing work. I did I edited the Mixology Noir books.
You're doing the new ones too. I just got, I can't talk about it, but I got to read the new Mixology Noir chapter. And I did notice your name on the title page on the editor. And, it's funny because I keep telling him, I'm like, you know, I was like, Evan, I like your writing. I love your storytelling. And he's like, I hate writing. I don't want to write. He was like, I want to come up with a crazy story. I want to pay somebody to write it. I want to letter it and do some cool design shit. That's all I want to do. And to me, right, me, like, who's like, has still aspirational dreams of becoming a writer, right? I'm just like, shut up, like you can't say that, you know, just like it just rubs me like not rubs me the wrong way, like angrily, but it's just like, how could you say that you don't want? But yeah, so fucker, he's like a decent writer and he doesn't even want to write.
Yeah,
but that's, if you could be in that, like if you could be like an idea man and have your own press and like and bring in people that you respect to collaborate with, like when I started thinking about it, I was like, oh yeah, that is pretty, like, you know, if I could get like a wild hair on my ass and stay up late and plot out something and hit you up, Eric, and say, Eric, like, listen to this when you got time to script this out with me. And then if you were like, oh, this sounds, you know, like that, yeah, that would be cool, you know? And I get, so I kind of understand where he's coming from. It's just, I just talk to so many writers all the time. It's weird to have them like let go of that writerly aspect of it, right? Because that's, you know, we cling to that often, you know, like even if you just write reviews or something like I do, right? You know, people tell you you're a good writer, you're like, no, I'm not, but thanks, you know, it's, you get it, like,
yeah, right. It's almost universal that writers have trouble taking compliments. It's absolutely true.
Yeah.
I just, going back, you know, a few thoughts. Never let that enjoyment of opening an email from a collaborator and it blowing your mind, never let go of that. The secret to a long career in comics and happiness in comics is to never treat those emails when new art comes in, never treat it as mundane. Always treat it as the most exciting thing in the world. You know, I, like you know, I'm on the West Coast, work with a lot of artists all over the world, some who are just night owls. So I wake up in the morning to their emails, and just always makes the day a little bit better when I open it up and I start the day with new art.
Yeah. Right. It's especially in this instance, because some of the drama that spun out of the Comics Broke Me stuff. I still don't know if what I did was right. I'm not going to get into it live, but I made some people angry with my comments, I thought I was standing up for the community, and I ended up messing up with some things for people that I do care about and that have been there for me. And yeah, so I honestly thought I was opening up a, hey Blake, go fuck yourself message, that I finally was like, just man up and read it, Blake. You know, like I was like, I don't like ignoring, you know, I'll give it a day, right? Like, especially if I'm mad or tensions are high, or I know people are mad at me, you know, like I'll be like, give it a day, let the simmer, I'll read it and respond tomorrow. Right. But I'm not one that's like if I miss an email and don't respond to you for like a week or even a month, I'm guilty of that. It's because it got lost in my emails, and I'm a one person show, and I get bombarded with requests, and they're hard to keep up with. But like, I'm not a, you know, when it comes, even though like I hate drama and stuff, like I would rather air the grievances and squash it, or do what needs to be done, right, than ignore the problem. So anyways, like the next day I saw like I had more messages, and I was like, I gotta just dive in here. And I dive in, and it's my fucking story. And I think that was another reason why I cried a little bit too, is just like the Catholic guilt just fucking rocked me to my core. But it just, anyways, but it was just, yeah, it was an experience that I've heard so many people talk about, and that getting to experience like for myself, something I never thought would happen, B, looked better than it looked in my mind, and C, like I mean, like, how cool is it? Like, dude, that 2-page script, I remember sweating over it, and I was like, how do you tell a story in 2 pages? I was like, how you got to make something's got to happen in 2 pages. I don't have time, right? Like everything I kind of was drawing like shitty panel layouts and stuff, and like, and then finally I was like, okay, it's too short. You don't need an introduction, right? So you just cut that. You know, you just start right in the heat of the moment, which ended up making it a stronger script anyway. And then David is on, actually, he read it and told me that same thing. He was like, dude, he was like, you kind of figured it out yourself. He was like, that's where you always start. Like, you just start in the heat of the moment, like start at a big, you know, you don't have to lead up to your big moment. You can just start there. And I was like, shit, I'm so lucky to like get to know a lot of you guys that I can like reach out to and ask questions. And everybody's always been so friendly to me. You know, because of the platform and people coming on the show and stuff before, and you know, just a lot of us talk sometimes outside of here, and I'm just very, very lucky, and I appreciate all you guys, and now I get to say I'm one of you. I get to say I'm a comic book writer, and I get to sit up there on my chair that's high up in the sky, and where the air's cleaner and the sun's shinier. And no, I'm kidding. But it was cool, and you know, just a very, very cool, you know, like I've tried to get short stories and stuff published before, and never had much luck there. So yeah, to like actually like something I wrote's getting published, so it's just like a big deal to me. And yes, Promiscuous Invader Comics, like Kadoja, yes, I'm their publicist now these days. I work for them, and we got some cool stuff coming from them too. So keep an eye on the channel. Ronan was a big fan of Talks too. Honestly, like, we've reached out and gotten a lot of people to review it, and you know, like we didn't have to grease any wheels or donate to any charity. You know, like everybody just digs the comic, right? That the art's real good. Like, you know, the dialogue's real snappy. Like I think you were able to take, you know, Evan's world and you know, straighten it up and put that, you know, that Palicki veneer on it, make it a little shinier.
That book made me a better writer. It was
nice,
you know, because it was his vision, and I got to play in his world. And I think I did you know, I think I did a serviceable job. I hope Evan thinks so. I hope the reviewers continue to think so. But yeah, it was not a book that I would have written on my own. So it definitely, learning to play in that kind of a world and you know, bring the story that Evan had in his mind's eye to life, definitely made me a better writer. And cool. I appreciate that he did that.
And that's not always the case. I know, like, sometimes you guys get brought into projects to pin something that's been outlined or loosely outlined, and it's not always an easy and cohesive and positive experience. It can sometimes get stressful, and then like sometimes people aren't happy with what you do, and so maybe sometimes the editing process gets a little more grueling. But it seems like, you know, even when I had you guys both on the show, and now I've had you guys back on separately, and you guys still talk great about each other when the other one's not around.
Well, that's
not that like it's just like, who's gonna come on a podcast and be like that Eric Palicki's a shithead, I'll never work with him again. Like, dude, we're live, like, you know that, right? Like, who's gonna say that stuff? But no, like, I can tell like how excited he was to work with you. And same too, like when you talk about talks, when you talk about working with him, and even when you talk about like editing something, because I know you like to edit too, but even editing has taken its toll on you occasionally. Like when you did like I think you told me a long time ago, you were like, I love working on anthologies, but I think I need a break. But you did like back to back anthologies for like a heartbeat of a year, and that was like a lot of work.
It is, and it's, as a person who, like Evan, has a day job, and I don't have 40 plus hours a week that I get to devote to this, so
yeah,
I have to be very discerning in how I spend my comic book making time. So unfortunately, those anthologies are a lot of work, and my true passion is writing. So if I'm going to spend that limited time I have, then I want my focus to be on writing.
Yeah.
And the last few years with the pandemic were weird, and that led to some risks that I wouldn't have otherwise taken. Being able to do Ninja Kaidan with Black Box and talks with Evan, at another point in time, I don't know that I would have said yes to those projects, but I'm really, really happy I did. And
cool.
I think the work speaks for itself. And there is, it might be too early to talk about it, but maybe Demetrios from Black Box isn't listening. So I can tell you that I've written another arc of Ninja Kaidan that'll probably come out next year. So
nice. Are we going to get that? I've noticed that they don't always do trades for their
They don't
series,
always do trades. They tend to do a trade. They usually start with a Kickstarter, and then they'll offer the trade a little bit later. I'm hoping that they will do a trade in time for volume 2.
Nice.
We're still on the fence about whether it's going to be a 6 through 10 or a volume 2 1 through 5.
Like a fresh start. Okay.
Yeah, but it's a continuation of the first story. Lucas unfortunately had to depart. Well, unfortunately is the wrong word for it. Lucas Meyer, who illustrated the first arc, is now drawing books for DC. So I can't blame him for not coming back to do our little
bummer. Bummer for Lucas. No, I get it.
But
it's crazy that happens though. Like,
I want to save something for the announcement, but Black Box has lined up another great artist for volume 2. So that's coming. That's something to be excited about next year.
Nice. I always love when writers and creators that I respect and adore come on and have, even if you guys can't tell me a lot, it's always good knowing that you guys have cards up your sleeves for something later, right? Because like I said, it's it's still a weird time for indie comics, and there's a lot of weird news coming out still, and it's just anything can happen, both good and bad, it seems lately, and so I'm glad, I'm glad that when the gigs are planned out into the future and stuff like that, that makes me happy and feel good for you guys. And also just because Ninja Kaidan was fucking dope, and I would not be upset in the least to get more of that. It was just so crazy and fun. Like G.I. Joe meets Ghostbusters meets like Insidious almost, right? It was just like it was all over the place, but it made sense, right? And when you read it, it was very structured and organized and made sense. But like, some of these things when you pitch it, especially when you go like this meets that thing, and you're like, how the fuck is that gonna work? But then it works, and it works really well. So that's awesome. So I mean, yeah, we got cool things from Eric in the future and near future. In the very, very near future, a la this Wednesday, Blacksmith Key to His Heart. The whole reason we're here tonight, which we did talk about, to be fair, but we also talked about numerous other things. But I can't recommend picking this up on Wednesday enough. Yes, I got to read it early. And yes, I got to, I was a big fan of the last series. And for those of you who are fans of the last series, like, hard pressed to say you'll be disappointed in the slightest when you read this new issue. As we mentioned earlier, if you haven't read the new series or the old series, the first arc, you give this a shot. It's very, very new reader friendly. You're gonna know who the characters are. You're gonna get to know people. Even these characters that we got to know for 5 issues already, they're in a different place. And so even fans that were here from the beginning, there's some reorientation going on. And because of that, it's a great time for new readers to come and enjoy this. So for real, if you see that Liana cover popping on the shelf and it's just all vibrant and warm and glowing and sticking out, just grab it. Just grab that Bad Mammer Jammer from Ahoy and put that in your comic bag and take it home. And then when you read it and you're like, holy shit, Blake was right, please, like, get online, tag everybody, tag your mom, tell her to take it to her tea party. Just I don't know that this community realizes enough that, like, you don't have to be a reviewer, right? You don't, if you don't think you're like, I'm not good at words or something, like, the power of you, like, tagging creators, saying that you bought this book and walked away with a positive experience. I don't think you guys understand the power that brings forth. Like, that's like the big dick energy, right? Like, it's just, it means so much to the creatives who often get tagged for the converse effect of that, right? When like everybody thinks that they can write better comic books than these people that are making comic books every month. But I mean, I really don't think you guys understand that, just like, or posting a picture of your comic haul so we see what you buy, or letting people know that, like, you don't have to get crazy into it. You don't have to write 500, 600 words. You don't have to make a fancy graphic and do cool shit like I do. Like, I know I do cool shit. It's cool. I get it. But no, but for real, like, what that means to the community, the publisher and the creators, when you do that, it just helps. It helps immensely. It's akin to sharing a Kickstarter, guys. It's, like, I bought this book, I read it, I enjoyed it, I think you guys should check it out. When you do that and put that positive message out, especially into the Twitter hellscape that it is now, like, any positivity on Twitter we'll take, but it really does, like, similar to pre-ordering comics, which we just can't seem to get people to do. But, like, it just really helps the industry, and it'll help you make new comic book friends. That's how I got started, was getting on Twitter and writing about shit I ordered on Amazon or bought from a comic book shop, and taking pictures of stuff I got in the mail on eBay. And then I met other people that read the same stuff I did. And now I've met, like, some lifelong friends that I haven't even met in real life yet. Right. But, like, anyways, long story short, get this on Wednesday and talk about it. Give it a shot. If you're not one to, like, post on, just give it a shot. Just get out there and say, hey, I read this and it was cool. Only if you think so. If you don't, don't lie, or do, but don't lie. But you don't have to lie. It's a great fucking book. But seriously, like, I think our community just needs a little bit more of that. Like, you don't have to be a reviewer to give an opinion, and you don't have to be a wordsmith to think that you can have an opinion on a comic, like, honestly. And so, like, give it a shot. Try something new this Wednesday. If you dig it, say you dig it. If you don't, say you don't, but don't tag the creators, because no one likes that. But you're allowed to have an opinion. Anyway, sorry, Eric. Got on my soapbox for a little bit there. In a sense, trying to get people to buy your book and review it. So
yeah, I mean, the best thing you can do, the best way you can support a writer you like, is to buy their book. But there are so many other ways to do it. You can do the reviews. You can retweet them if they're talking about a book that's coming out and you can't afford it. Just give them a retweet. It goes a long way. Word of mouth. Hey, I'm not picking this book up for whatever reason, but I really liked Atlantis Wasn't Built for Tourists, or the Manicore Kickstarter, or anything else. Kind words in any writing medium, any creative medium, go so far.
Yeah.
And it's always appreciated. You tag a writer or an artist or any creative and say, I liked this book. All you have to do is say you enjoyed the book. You don't have, like you said, you don't have to write a Goodreads review. And oh my God, I cannot as a creator go on Goodreads anymore. But you know, just a kind word about the things you like. And I think if everybody did that, the world would be a better place.
Yes, I do too. I really do. And I, again, like, I know everybody keeps getting excited about Twitter burning down, but you know, as I mentioned, I've met so many great people. This show, Blake's Buzz, me as a person, like, I am where I'm at today because of Twitter. That's where my main audience is. That's where I did most of my networking. That's where I get most of my guests. You know, like, I'm on Blue Sky. I can't get anybody to fucking talk to me. Matt Fraction and Matthew Rosenberg followed me on Blue Sky, but no, like no one. I even posted pictures of Bruce laying on his back, letting me rub his belly, smiling. My cute, adorable puppy smiling with his ears poking out to oblivion. I was like, I don't think Bruce has made his Blue Sky. I got 2 likes for cute puppy picture. Like, I can't figure out Blue Sky. But anyways, like, there's still a really great comic book community on Twitter. And while it's here and while we're all here, because, you know, you never know what's going to change, you know, let's make it the best we can. But for real, like, give it a shot, you know, pick up a new book, try something new.
That's true of Twitter and of life itself.
Yeah, definitely.
Right.
Yeah. We don't know. We never know how long we're going to be here. And ask anybody with a brain. It's usually better to not be an asshole than to be an ass. You know, like,
right.
you can walk the line. Yeah. Right. Like, walk the asshole line, but make sure, like, you're on the better side of it most of the time. Basically, you know, it says a lot. But yeah, again, I don't know if you guys have picked this up in this hour and a half that we've been talking, but I really liked the new Blacksmith issue, and I was so excited that Eric came on. And I'm, you know, I'm a careful reader, and I'm a picky reader. I'm not a super picky reader. I'm picky with what I cover, because I have to be these days, right? I wish I could have everybody on the show every week, but it's impossible. And
it's a good problem to have.
It is. But you know, I pay a lot of attention when I read, and you know, that comes from, you know, my literature degrees and being a fucking book nerd in college. But you know, I just, there's so many good things to pick out of the comics you're writing these days, and they've all, like, come to a head and powers combined, Captain Planet style, in this new Blacksmith premiere, man. Like, I think you're really, really on to something great. I love Ahoy. I loved Ahoy before Blacksmith, and I'm gonna love them after Blacksmith too, I think, because they do really cool stuff. But I'm so glad you're having a good experience with them. I'm so glad that's where Blacksmith gets to live, and hopefully gets to live a little bit longer. Maybe we'll see. But yeah, man, I'm real happy for you, and I hope when you're creeping on some comic shops this week, man, I hope you find some unsuspecting victims, either to jump out and scare them with the, oh, I wrote that, you're buying it, or maybe you quick pitch them before they leave. That's a good, like, we've kind of talked about what Blacksmith is about, but I just realized, like, an hour and 30 minutes in, like, no clear outline. It's noir, there's monsters, there's a private detective, there's a werewolf. You know the gist of it. But real quick, Eric, like, you're at a con, someone's walking by your con table, they see that Liana trade, that trade cover, it's so bright and beautiful, they look at it, and they go, hey, what's this one about? What are you telling them? What's your quick pitch?
Oh, sure. So Blacksmith is the story of Strummer Mercado, a private detective in Los Angeles who happens to be a werewolf. Years ago, she abandoned the supernatural community in favor of only handling cases for mundane humanity. But when the case of a lifetime drops in her lap, she finds herself pulled back into that supernatural side of her life, and must face the consequences, both of having left in the first place and of having returned.
Nice. Dig it. I'd buy it. I'd buy it. Have you sign it.
Sometimes I talk about how, you know, the MacGuffin in the first trade is the 30 stolen bullets that may or may not have been made out of Judas's silver. Yeah. So there's definitely, like, you know, it just kind of wraps that mythology up. for a prospective reader.
And I like, again, I love these mythic elements that you bring in from, you know, from like historic literature or you know, various mythologies across various cultures, and all this stuff you bring in to this. Now, you know, I feel like there's a lot of research that's been done in these issues too, that I should have mentioned to give you credit for, because it also feels very like researched and real, and you are good at establishing the like intricacies of like historic mythology and modernized society and the way you blend them. Man, I love how, dude, you're like the only one I talk to that I've sound smart. I swear to God, like everybody else, like I talked to, like Saladin Ahmed was on, and I was just like, I was like, okay, yeah, okay, you know, and I just was like, you know, not like, I didn't, I maybe said a smart thing with him, and then Steve Orlando was on last week, and we just talked about dicks and food, and like, which was amazing, but like, I don't know, man, like when I talk to you, you bring like the smart shit out of me, so thank you.
Well,
Need to have you on more.
Just, I mean, that's like Steve Orlando's whole personality, so it's
Yeah.
fine. Love you, Steve.
No, that's true, but I do like, I do another just element that we didn't talk about, the research behind it, the care that you put into these little elements that breathe life into your story, right? And there's like even little elements, even micro scenes, and even when you touch base on something, right, is you linger just enough to give it like all the agency it needs, and you're another good deal in your writer arsenal. That's something you do, right? Is like when you sprinkle breadcrumbs, you are very good about like letting us know why the breadcrumbs are important and why they matter, right? They're not just there to throw us off. They're not just there to get us to buy issue 2. They're there for real reasons, and changing with like plot and character evolution, stuff like that. And so like there's a lot of little elements that, you know, pay attention, basically, ladies and gentlemen, like give this first issue, if you get it, which I sure hope you do, like read it once, have fun with it, think about it, read it again, maybe think of it like a little bit more critically, maybe think about like different scenes, maybe think about like some ominous dialogue where you're like, maybe that'll come into play later, because usually Eric will. If something like rings in your head and you're like, this feels important, it's probably going to come back to haunt our protagonist in one way or another. He's very good at that, and again, just because he's a great writer, and I'm just really glad. I'm really glad this new arc is happening, and I'm glad that you're having a good time at Ahoy, and I'm glad that you've got some cool new stuff coming out, you know, this year, next year, or sometime around the bend, because I think comic books need more Eric Palicki. That's just me. What do I know? You know, I'm just
even though you don't fucking trust him.
Yeah, even though I don't trust him.
I need that.
I need that distrust and paranoia in my life.
Yeah, no, I appreciate, you know, before I realized that I wanted to be a writer, I was in school for engineering. You know, up until the point when I realized I didn't want to build spaceships, I just wanted to write stories about spaceships.
Nice.
So I switched majors, and like you, followed a path into the English literature, English writing world at school. What a fool we were, right?
Oh my God. I can't believe how similar our story is, because I did an automotive program. My buddy and I wanted to build race cars. And then I realized that I did not want to work on cars every day, and I went into English. That's so funny.
So I think one of the things that I think that my scripts, my plots have a mechanical aspect to them, in that
nice.
Not so much that they're inhuman or inorganic, but that, you know, every piece has a function, and so like,
Yeah.
I appreciate that you picked up on that. I think of my contemporaries, the writer that I think of who writes the most like I do whether he would take this as a compliment or not, is Justin Jordan. Like, he and I have a very similar sensibility when it comes to like making sure that every cog in the machine of our plots serves a purpose and does what it has to.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. I agree 110%. Yeah, that's it's very cool. And no wonder you make me sound smart. You're engineer smart. You just bring it out of me.
I just couldn't handle it. Like, I didn't dislike calculus. I just would rather, I'd rather write about this stuff than solve math problems.
I suck. College algebra was about as smart as I could get. After that, I was dumb. In engineering, math and stuff is crazy. Whatever happened, I'm glad it happened. I'm glad that lightning bolt went off in your fucking sciencey nerdy brain and set you on a new course to awesomeness. Because like I said, man, this last year, seeing what you've been bringing to the table, even as a fan of your older stuff, like, it's cool. I'm watching you get, and I want to say get better, because you're already good, but you're like, you're taking some more narrative risks. Like, maybe those self-imposed restrictions where maybe you were scared to get weird every now and then. I don't feel like you're scared to get weird anymore. Maybe similar to how
some of the weird that's coming.
Yes, I would love. I hope to, sir. I definitely hope to. Well, no, like, anyways, I'm just so excited. Everybody, like, again, you got Blacksmith, Key to His Heart on sale this Wednesday. There's a Liana cover. There's a Tim Seeley cover. Fuck it, get them both. Like, why not? What else are you going to do with your money? Die and take it with you? No, you're not. It's going to go to some fucking prick in your family that didn't deserve it. No, I'm just kidding. Maybe they did. Probably didn't, though. Anyway, it's a great comic. Everybody needs to check it out. Basically, if you see Eric's name on a title, you need to snag it. If you're unfamiliar with Eric, I can't recommend Atlantis Wasn't Built for Tourists. That was my first foray into his craziness, and then after that I read was it No Angel, right? No yes. Angel, and I loved, and that's from Black Mask. It's from Black Mask.
Yes, that's technically that is that's co-written with my sister Adrienne. I've gotten all the way this far into the podcast without name dropping, but my sister and I did co-write that, co-develop it. You'll definitely recognize the main character of No Angel.
Yeah, but that's a cool, creepy, religious, culty, like lots of creepy bugs and creepy killing, and it's an unnerving, slightly uncomfortable read in a good way, like that good horror discomfort, right? I really dug that. So that's something to check out. Atlantis Wasn't Built for Tourists. You still have your online shop, right? Is that you still doing all
so
that
you can
cool
pick
stuff?
up, you can it's under construction right now. I recently switched web providers, so I'm rebuilding my website from scratch, but the store will be up soon. Give me a follow at Eric Palicki on Twitter and Instagram, and then if someone ever wants to send me a Blue Sky invite, I will endeavor to be Eric Palicki on all of the future social medias that may or may not exist in the known universe.
Get this, man. I still don't know how invites work. I got one after like almost 3 weeks. I gave it to my co-host because he was the first one who asked, and he's my co-host, Cole. And like, but even then, like, we just can't. I like these people are like cool people are following me, but that I just can't. It's real hard to get interaction and engagement as opposed to like even like Instagram or Twitter or Facebook. But like, yeah, it's still cool. It seems to be people have more positive attitudes there. There's a lot less like mansplaining, a lot less hate speech and weirdness like that, which is good. But yeah, just maybe that's also why there's less of that too, because everybody's just kind of like posting their own shit and none of us are actually talking to each other. I don't know, but it is, it's a it's something new, it's something exciting. See what happens, you know. Maybe it'll blow up, maybe it won't, something. Regardless, it's a place for me to post advertisements I make for clients, so that's all that matters in the end. But no, Eric, this was so great getting to catch up, even though it hasn't been that long since you were on the show the last time. But for real, like, go pick up Blacksmith, Key to His Heart, #1, on sale this Wednesday. We posted the link in the chat earlier. We got go sign up for talks 1 through 4 is coming to Kickstarter soon. Again, we don't have a definite date for that yet, but that's why you sign up, because when it signs up, you'll get those notifications. You'll get those email notifications. You'll know exactly when it goes live. Won't miss any early bird specials or anything like that. So make sure you get signed up for that, because Talks is fucking dope. And yeah, follow Eric. He's a great person to follow online. He's not a hot take master. He's real chill. He loves comics. He loves making comics, and that's the vibe he puts out on social media, and that's why I love him so goddamn much, basically. And he bought my t-shirt too, but I loved him before he bought the t-shirt. You know,
I went with my love and respect trans women shirt instead of my Blake's Buzz shirt. I know I'm breaking tradition.
No, that's I support being kind to trans people, all people. Like, no, like, more people need to wear shirts like that, and even more people need to believe you know, and just acting like that in your everydayness of existence, because like, this world is lame, and it gets lamer when we decide to hate people for stupid reasons, and it does bad stuff to you. The people that hate probably don't see it, obviously, but like, you know, we see it. Eric's writing a lot about, you know, fictional mythical monsters, and there are real monsters in this world. And when you hate like that for votes or money for your campaign, or whatever reason makes you campaign on hatred like that, it changes you physically, mentally, and dehumanizes you in a bad way. And I mean, look at Mitch McConnell. He's like gray and green and discolored and dwarfish, and you know, that's what happens when you hate people for a living. Don't do that. Anyways, yeah, Eric, wear that shirt all the time, never take it off. Unless it smells weird, but then take it off and wash it and then put it right back on.
Yeah.
Anyways, I've kept you for an hour and 40 minutes. I always say I'm going to try and wrap up after an hour. It never works. The lies I tell myself. Oh shit. And then Black Box did pop in. We talked about Ninja Gaiden for a little bit, so go back and check it out. But thanks for popping in. Eric's already told you where to follow him. We've already told you what books you need to get of his, and you know, unless, like, you got anything else that we missed, you want to shout out? Anything extra, Eric?
No, just thanks to you, thanks to Wendell, and Sarah Litt and Liana, the whole creative team for Blacksmith. I hope everyone loves it. Please check it out on Wednesday.
Yes. Like, again, cannot recommend enough. It's a great first issue, and I will be back tomorrow night. We're gonna do a launch party for Jared Lujan's new Kickstarter tomorrow night, and then I probably have a show Wednesday and Thursday and Friday night too that I forgot about, because I don't know how to say no to people, which is fine. It's cool, but no, I love it. But yeah, tune in tomorrow night. We're gonna kick oh, you guys are awesome too. Thank you. We're gonna kick Jared's new campaign off in style. I'm always excited to talk to him. He's another great voice in indie comics that the world needs more of. Anyways, everybody, thank you for everybody who's still hanging out in the chat. Thank you, everybody, for commenting. Again, like, get this comic on Wednesday. Blacksmith, The Key to His Heart. If Ahoy paid me a nickel for every time I said that title on the show, I think I might have $1. I think I did a sufficient job of saying the book to buy on Wednesday. As long story short, but no, I really appreciate everybody tuning in. Love more, hate less, read comics. I love you. We'll be back tomorrow. I'm sure I'll have Eric on again in the future, because I just love talking to this dude, and I love reading his comics even more. Other than that, have a great night, and tomorrow's Tuesday. Blake. One step closer Friday. Eric, no, thank you, dude. You've put up with me twice in less than a month. Like, I hope Ahoy gives you a raise or something for that.
Or a third volume. Right.
or just the third volume. We'll take the third volume.